happened. I just don't think there's any more sellers. And two, if you want to take the straight up manipulation route where commercial money is uncovered, just selling uncovered calls right here. Well, another good sign is they couldn't. They tried, as hard as they could, but there's just not enough sellers to keep it going, keep the pressure on, and it was just getting bought up and bought up and bought up. So it just points to the sellers are done in Apple. It's been so long. Um, so that is that for what I believed happened. So I think it's just gonna it should um, basically this data should be pretty much on the call side at least. If it's like 340 next week, it should all just be worthless because it should just bust out of it. Like it should be. Say here's the highest open interest, and on Monday we open up this 345. This stuff is just gonna be irrelevant, and it's perfect time to sell put spreads. And I'll keep everyone up to date on this model. Going over to this model, here's on like this. This is why I wouldn't want anyone to be net short those calls and stuff like that. Is on this profit taker one that was meant to sell the weekly stuff. It was just it's exactly what I wanted to happen. I wanted these shares to get called away, so bought 200 shares at 334, and then I sold the 335 weekly just to lock in profit right there. Because also remember, Apple was down at 330 this week, all around 335. Who knew this day was coming? And it's one of those things that just locks in profit. So I let this get called away tomorrow. I'll take $1 per share gain on that, and I took $3.25. So for this week, I'll take in $4.25 per share. And that's exactly what I wanted to happen. Now, of course, you could have altered this a little bit when, this was probably 20 cents, yes, or no, not that low. This is probably $1.25 yesterday. You could have bought it back and held on your shares, but at that time, Apple was only 335. So that's that one. Another great thing about selling covered calls and stuff is when you start coming out. Just use for example, on the 28th, just a few days ago, sold this covered call, the 360, when the stock was at 335. It was like 335.50 or ish, and sold it for 46-cent credit. Well, let's go over to that 360 July. Yeah, here we are. So Apple's up $8 or whatever it was from there, and so I sold it for 46, and so Apple moved up all this week by that amount, and this has not changed. So that's the beauty of Theta, is I could buy this back for Apple moved up $10 or whatever that was, and I still you didn't gain. So that's why picture you take the opposite. You were a buyer of this, so Apple just moved up $8. And you actually lost money because you're going to have to sell more towards this side. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Another thing I know people are probably going to get mad at because nobody saw this stuff coming, and I'll forever sell covered calls no matter what type of market it is. I will just, if you're just extremely bullish on Apple, I'll take 10 cents. I'll take 10 cents off my cost basis. The further you go out, the further amount you want. But people on what's going to happen is just kind of as painful emotionally when it comes up to your strike that you were short. Like say you have 500 shares or whatever it may be, and Apple was just at 310, and when you sold these, and you took in your buck like that model says, $1.50. And you would love for Apple to be up at this 350 because who's going to think in 2 weeks it's going to move, $40? Well, all of a sudden, say Apple closes at this 360. You're like, son of a, why did I sell? I had left this money on the table. But we're dealing with that at the time. Come on, you got to be happy with that $40 gain. That's fine. And that's why I like selling two only a month out, because this one, an example, expires that Friday before the earnings, and the earnings on that Tuesday. So what? We go 2 days without a profit and then hop back in for earnings. So that's why I personally don't like to sell way out there. But that's going to be up to you guys, obviously, again. And so on this model too, a lot of this is hindsight. Like on this one, I'm just locking in gains. Should I have sold the 340? Yeah, if I knew that. But at the time, you got to remember, you put this stuff on when the Greek votes were going through the market. Everyone was saying Apple's going to 300, all this. So you got to look at it at the time you did it. If we had an exact crystal ball, of course we would have did things different. So yeah, that's about. If you guys have questions on this, just email me or anything. But all these are profitable. And I think that is about it. So hopefully that answered some questions.